Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Vero Beach. My name is Pete Kersey. I serve this congregation as board president, but my role this morning is that of pulpit host for Rabbi Michael Birnholz, who has served as rabbi of the Temple Beth Shalom on Vero Beach since 2002. His father was a rabbi in Mississippi. The family moved to the Tampa, Florida area when Michael was 12 years old, so he's close to being a Florida native. Welcome once again to our pulpit. I would like to offer you a brief poem by Edward Markham, who wrote, "My enemy and I came nigh. He drew a circle that shut me out. Heretic, rebel, thing to flout. But love and I had the wit to win. We drew a circle that brought him in." This morning, we draw a big circle to welcome one and all from wherever you may have arrived in whatever frame of mind that you may find yourself, and from whatever section of society that you may be dwelling in this time and space. Here, in this sanctuary, you are free to believe what strikes you as reasonable and moral, and though others may not believe the same, here the two mingle in comfortable questioning. We're a congregation of open minds, loving hearts, and helping hands. People seeking to become our best selves, even as we work to make a better world.
There's a wonderful Yiddish expression that humans plan and God laughs. That we have all kinds of things that we expect, that we plan in ways we think our world's day is going to go, and then it never quite ends up going that way. And some are very easy and some are very hard, and there's always a messiness that you have to wade through. As I come forward, you'll notice that I'm not wearing my normal pants. We call these the pirate pants, where I just call them pant. About 8 months ago, I was playing soccer with my 11-year-old son. I scored 2 goals against 11-year-olds and tore a little piece of cartilage. And so I've been dealing with surgery and crutches, and I'm still on the path of physical therapy, but I still wobble around quite a bit. And so I stand here before you, and this is my second day without crutches, completely without crutches, which is incredible. Still walking, no charging yet. And so I don't feel whole and complete. And then I sat this morning in my car. I was stopped at the synagogue to grab a couple of things. I was having my Dunkin' Donuts breakfast this morning, and the lid was not on the coffee. And so, I'm a little coffee stained even this morning. So top to bottom, I am not where I wanted to be. And I stand before you and I offer that on a few different levels. First is the realization that comes within Judaism, and I think a lot of religious traditions, that life is messy. But how do we stop in the midst of that messiness of life and catch our breath and center ourselves and get ourselves ready to do the work that we have to do, whether we have stains on our shirts, whether we have a limp or part of our body that doesn't work, whether we're facing little challenges, these are just little challenges, or we're facing big challenges that shake us to our core. There's a very simple prayer in Jewish liturgy that we offer every morning. It's called Elohai Neshama. Elohai Neshama shenatata bi tohorahi. God, the soul that you've breathed into me is pure. You shaped it, you protect it, you give it into me so that I can be just a little renewed each morning. A week ago, I was in Cleveland, Georgia. How many of you have been to Cleveland, Georgia? Some of you have. If you have been to Cleveland, Georgia, you might know there are 2 Jewish camps there. Did you all know there were 2 Jewish camps there? They're pretty well hidden in the woods. I can't imagine why they were hiding Jewish camps in the woods of Cleveland, Georgia. I was at one of them. And on Saturday morning, I had the honor of helping lead services with the specialists from the camp. So the sports specialists and the drama specialists and the garden specialists and all the specialists. One of the specialists was the yoga specialist. And she actually did this prayer with the kids, with all of us on Saturday morning. And what she did, and I'm going to offer you the text, but I'm also going to offer us a chance to move, is she asked everyone to do a little bit of movement together. And it was incredible realize this is a week of summer camp already. You're in the humid woods of Cleveland. Just to let you know how much we're in the woods, a baby deer, had walked through the chapel 5 minutes before everyone got there for services. We're really in the woods with bugs and rocks and all of this other stuff. And the moment she said, everybody stand up, sit up real straight and stretch out it was this wave of people. Everyone just sat up. And they took this Elohai Neshama Shena Tatabi. They took that kind of breath into themselves. So I ask you to, everybody just sit up and really stretch out your spine. And take a deep breath in and let it out. And turn your head to the right and let your neck turn to the best of your ability. And then turn your head to the left. And roll your shoulders. You can roll them to the front. You can roll them to the back. Each time just taking a deep breath in. And feel that sense of energy of coming together and letting go. Travel all the way down your torso into your hips. You can wiggle your tush a little bit in your seat. And feel it go down to your knees. And you can flex them in and out. And then wiggle your toes. All these parts of our bodies work, and we know that sometimes when one opening doesn't open or one closing doesn't close, we can't stand in life. But it's amazing that with that breath in us, even if we are fragile and parts of us are broken, we can still stand with Ruach and Koach. As we take this breath in, I ask you to hear these opening words. Elohai neshama shena tatabi tehorahi. God, the breath you have breathed into me is pure. You created it. You breathed it into me, you sustain it, and you protect it within me. My soul came to me pure, drawn from the reservoirs of the holy. All time it remains within me. I am thankful for its thirst and compassion and justice. Let my eyes behold the beauty of all creatures. Let my hands know the privilege of righteous deeds. As we move our bodies, as we move our hands, as we feel that soul within us, may we feel that sense of pure, that sense of protected, that sense of being here in this place to connect with a sense of community with the humans around us, that sense of that energy, that presence, that we can be something greater than the sum of our parts. Amen. Let us breathe, let us move, let us take this time to pray together. I share with you before my sermon 2 texts, 2 dreams. I hope you hear them and take them to heart. This one I'm sure you have certainly heard before. I say to you, my friends, so even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, the sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream that one day even the state of Mississippi, a state sweltering in the heat of injustice, sweltering in the heat of oppression, will be transformed into an oasis of just freedom and justice. I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have that dream today. I have a dream that one day down in Alabama, with its vicious racists, with its governor having his lips dripping with words of interposition and nullification, one day right there in Alabama, little black boys and black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and little white girls as sisters and brothers. I have that dream today. I have a dream that one day every valley shall be exalted, every hill and mountain shall be made low. The rough places will be made plain, and the crooked places will be made straight, and the glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and all flesh see it together. Those are the words of Martin Luther King Jr. The March on Washington is his speech of I have a dream. And yet I share with you a second dream. This is from Genesis. You might have heard it before. The Pharaoh said to Joseph, I have a dream, but no one can interpret it. And now I've heard it said that you can hear a dream and tell its meaning. Joseph answered Pharaoh and said, Not I. God will see to Pharaoh's welfare. And then the Pharaoh, without missing a beat, said to Joseph, "In my dream, I'm standing on the banks of the Nile, when out of the Nile come 7 sturdy and well-formed cows and graze in the reed grass. Presently then follow 7 other cows, scrawny, ill-formed, and emaciated. I've never seen their likes of their ugliness in all the land of Egypt. And the 7 lean and ugly cows ate up the first 7 cows and the sturdy ones. But when they consumed them, no one could tell me that they had consumed them, for they looked just as bad as before. And I woke. In my other dream, I saw 7 ears of grain, full and healthy, growing on a single stalk. Right before them sprouted 7 ears, shriveled and thin and scorched by the east wind. And the thin ears swallowed the 7 healthy ears. I've told my magicians, but none has an explanation for me." And Joseph said to Pharaoh, "Pharaoh's dreams are one and the same. God has told Pharaoh what he's about to do. The 7 healthy cows are 7 years, and the 7 healthy ears are 7 years, and it is the same dream. And the 7 lean, ugly cows that followed are 7 years, as the 7 empty ears scorched by the east wind, they are 7 years of famine. It is just as I've told Pharaoh. God revealed to Pharaoh what he is about to do. Immediately ahead are 7 years of grain abundance in all the land of Egypt. After them will come 7 years of famine, and all the abundance in the land of Egypt will be forgotten, as the land is ravaged by famine. And no trace of the abundance will be left in the land, because the famine thereafter will be so severe. As Pharaoh having the same dreams twice, it means the matter is determined by God, and God will carry it out." And then Joseph does something interesting. He's able to give the instructions to Pharaoh to store everything in Egypt for those 7 years, to use what they need to sustain this community, but store everything to the side, and then to take that storage to be there through those 7 years of famine. And in the process of living out with Pharaoh hearing these instructions from Joseph, and Joseph being able to lead the people of Egypt, he's able to save not only Egypt, but eventually his own family and the community of Israel, that because there's a famine in the land of Israel, finds its way down to Egypt, leading to the story of the Exodus. So through the spring, I've read that story of Pharaoh and Joseph being able to interpret Pharaoh's dreams, and the two of them coming up with a plan, taking a night dream, one that Pharaoh had over and over again, Joseph being able to hear what Pharaoh was telling him and coming up with a solution and being able to solve a problem not just for Pharaoh, and not just for Pharaoh's household, and not just for the people of Egypt, but the people of Israel. And it's so incredibly intriguing to me, incredible to me. It's a story of sustainability, that if we pull together everything that we have, when we have moments of plenty, that we can sustain ourselves. It's a rags to riches story where Joseph is in jail, and this is his ticket out. It's a story of redemption. It's a story of sometimes everything gets really good before it gets bad, and then you have the story of the Exodus. There's so much in this story, but I was really intrigued by that idea of what happens when we have those night dreams and then the dreams that we have at night. And we just had a beautiful song about rest easy and sleep easy at night and have feast upon those dreams. What happens with those dreams, and how do we take them and use them, much like Claudia's story this morning, to go out and fix the world? And I'm a rabbi, so I play with words a lot. So if I'm thinking about dreams and being able to take a dream and be able to use the dream to be able to fuel a solution, and then, of course, what do rabbis do? They start thinking of other dream stories, and what is the most incredible dream story that we have of our years and of our world. So often, it's easy. It's Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Have a Dream. As I came last week from the red clay of Georgia in White County, Georgia. And I don't think they call it White County for just because they have pretty buildings. And I was a child of Jackson, Mississippi. I was born just after the Civil Rights Movement, and I had my synagogue shot up in the 1980s by a anti-Semitic and racist skinhead gang, and still remember that, and bomb threats with my dad. That I Have a Dream might have been in the 60s, but I certainly witnessed it in my childhood and beyond. Can we take that Joseph story of what we do when we have these dreams at night, when we go to sleep and our body does whatever it's going to do and our brains do whatever they're going to do. And can we take that same experience of what it does for us then and apply it to this visioning dream, whether it's Martin Luther King Jr. or Anne Frank, who talks about her dreams of an incredible world where everybody lives free and kind and caring, or the dreams of Malala, who dreams of everybody having opportunities to learn. Can we mix the metaphor? I know the word is the same. I even looked up, I was curious, I looked up Martin Luther King Jr.'s speech, I Have a Dream, in Hebrew to see if maybe in Hebrew it envisioned it a different word, and it didn't. So is it just that they share a word, but they're two very different concepts, or is there something more where the two need to be looked at together in connection? And the more I studied this and looked at it, the more I knew there is a connection. I haven't finished figuring it out yet, but I hope to tell you the story and share the story with you, and hope that together we both find this way, this nexus, this place where what happens to us at night can impact us as we look out into the vistas of our future and our ideals of what we want the world to look like. One of the things that was very clear when I started looking into dreams and what happens to us when we dream at night is that it is vital to us. In fact, I just saw it the other day. I was looking on the internet, and there was popped up a story that getting a good night's sleep is so vital and important to us. There's so many things that happen to us at night that our body getting the chance to shut down and rest is so incredibly important to our sense of health. And then you start looking that whole experience of dreaming does something for us spiritually and emotionally as well as physically. I first start with the physical stuff because it really surprised me and blew me away. That when you sleep and when you dream, the pressure of your cerebrospinal fluid in your brain lowers, and the fluid in your brain is able to circulate in a different way. And get this, that fluid cleans out the stuff that builds up in the cracks of your brain while you sleep. That we actually, while we sleep and while we dream, we're actually cleaning this gunk that builds up in our brain. And I read that, I heard this, I was listening to NPR one morning, and I'm hearing this, and I'm going, that's Jewish teaching. That we actually teach in Jewish life that when we sleep, it's an experience of 1/60th of death, and that when we sleep, that part of our spirit, 1/60th, and there's a whole realm of teaching about how they come up with that number, but 1/60th of our spirit goes back to God, who cleans it up for us and returns it to us in the morning pure. That was what I started with, Elohai Neshama. Thank you, God, for taking that piece of my spirit, cleaning it for me, and sending it back to me. Our brains actually physically do that every night. There's another part of our dreaming that isn't physical, but it's psychological and it's spiritual. There's another, of course, story of dreaming in Bible. It's one of my personal favorites. It's the story of Jacob becoming Israel, Yisrael. There's Jacob, and he's about to face his brother Esau, who he ended up with the blessing and birthright. You can say stole, you can say that he negotiated out of him, that he outsmarted. There are all kinds of discussions. It didn't go well for Jacob. It didn't go well for Esau. Jacob doesn't feel great about it, and he's been exiled for 20 years. And he's coming back to face his brother, and his brother has with him 400 armed men. Jacob's not sure about this meeting. So he goes and he sends his whole camp, his 2 wives, his maidservants, his children, his animals, and they go off to the side, and he goes and he camps near the river Yavuk. Close, by the way, to the place where he had the dream about the stairway to heaven. And he takes a stone, puts it under his head, and he has let me get the 2 dreams straight. The rock was the first dream. This one, what happens while he's sleeping? He wrestles with a man. Some of you have heard that story, that it's not a man, it's an angel. And there's all kinds of discussion of that. But he wrestles back and forth with this divine being, whether it's a human that's there by divine purposes, whether it's an angel, or there are even commentators that suggest that it is Jacob's own conscience. And there Jacob wrestles in this dream back and forth with this man, this angel with his conscience. He asks the other to bless him, refusing to give up. The other says, you've got to let me go. I don't belong in this world. They go back and forth. Jacob's hip is wrenched. The man blesses him and says, you will no longer be Jacob, but you're eventually going to become Israel, one who wrestles with beings divine and human and prevailing. And Jacob wakes up and limps away from that spot, knowing he is blessed by God, but being physically changed how he moved through the world. That's part of our dreams too, that we have our anxieties and our conscience and our concerns and our problems that we visit in all kinds of ways. In high school, I had these awesome dreams about zombies and vampires. And they were chasing me very often on school buses. You'd think I would have figured this out a while. Finally, after a reoccurring dream all the time, over and over again, which, by the way, I'd eventually defeat the chief zombie who looked very much like a teacher and authority figure, I realized that I kept having these dreams the night before calculus tests. We all know those moments where what's bothering us, where we're stuck, the problems we face, get into our dreams, and we have to take that step back and realize what's really bothering us and whether our dream offers our solution or just lets us know what it is so that we can face it with our full and a complete attention. Those hidden secrets or those hidden problems, those things that we carry around that we don't want to face during the day, that at night let us be able to wrestle and struggle with. And I hope as we hear that story of Jacob, that we're able to physically change how we move through the day. And the last piece of it, both the cleansing and the wrestling, and the last piece of it is the one Joseph presents. Because there's something Pharaoh does that is extraordinary. He's Pharaoh. He's all-powerful. And yet what does he do with his dreams? He shares them. He tells people about them. He says, this is what's really bothering me. It's to the point where I wake up and I don't know what to do. And by sharing it with the community, by talking with people about it, what happens? He's able to come up with a solution and repair his problem, not by himself, but as a community, a circle of people around him to help solve it. When I was little, I used to wake up in the middle of the night. This is in Jackson, our first house, and I'd hear drip, step, step, step. And I'd be convinced. Now, I've obviously watched way too much science fiction, even as a kid, that it was either aliens, zombies, vampires, somebody was coming down the hall to get me. This went on for years. Finally, one morning, I had the chutzpah, bravery, the moxie, whatever, and I said to my dad, I keep waking up and I hear something coming down the hall to get me. And it goes like this. Dad, what is it? He says, Michael, do you mean the drip pan and the air conditioning? It's so silly and so simple, but by asking my dad, by saying this is what is catching my attention in the dark of night, by talking with somebody else, getting another piece of perspective, the solution to that problem, to what was scaring me, was presented. So simple, so easy, to the point where I can honestly say and laugh with you here in this place. How simple and silly, but how easy as a child to have that fear there. But by sharing it, by expanding my circle, I found the solution. 3 pieces of what story of dreaming does for us, whether it's helping us refresh our body, or renew our spirit, allow us to get that wrestling out to figure out where we need to be. Whether it's giving us a chance to share what is weighing our spirit, and being able to bring in people to help us face those challenges or those anxiety or find the solutions. They keep coming back. That's what taking that time, that sleeping at night and that dreaming at night and sharing those dreams, it's what it does for us. And it's so incredible and so important physically and emotionally and spiritually to be refreshed, to be renewed, to be able to keep moving forward. And I kept thinking about this dream, the Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Have a Dream, or Anne Frank, or whatever those vision dreams that they say. I look at the world and I want to solve the problems. And I realized, as I was doing this, there is a connection. There's something that we can learn by really talking and thinking about what our dreams at night do for us that might help us figure out how to face these vision dreams these people present us as we move through the world. And I knew there was a connection, and I wasn't sure of it until I kept coming back over and over again. See, because I have this crazy song from my childhood. Slide. Next slide. Perfect. I have this crazy song that I learned at camp. This was the one in Mississippi. We sing it at Coleman. I sing it to my kids. And it goes like this. What do we do when we needed corn? We plowed and we sowed till the early morn. And then, for our hands are strong and our hearts are young, and the dreamer keeps a dreamin' ages long. Next slide. What do we do when we needed a town? We hammered and we nailed till the sun went down. And there's the chorus again in the last one. What do we do when it's peace that we want? It's more than a person can build or plant. You can tell when I learned it. We gather our friends from the end of the earth to lend a hand in its hour of birth. We'll plow, we'll sow, we'll hammer and we'll nail. We'll work all day till peace is real. I was thinking about all of these things that we do at night. That we refresh ourselves. We put a little seed of ourselves out there to get cleaned and renewed and refreshed so it can grow into something powerful. That's the corn that we'll plow and we'll sow. The wrestling with the angel, it's building a town. That we wrestle. When we wrestle, we have to physically move stuff. And how many of you have ever built something? I put together a exercise bike yesterday. I had this experience. How many times have you tried to get something to fit and it didn't fit quite right? And then you change it from, yesterday I was putting together this exercise bike, and as my daughter said, we always were Birnholz's, we always do it backwards the first time. And we put it all together, except I couldn't get something to line up this major piece of it. Finally, I had to unscrew one part of it and put it back together from the front to the back instead of the back to the front. I should have known it was English opening, not Hebrew opening. But that's what Jacob did. He wrestled back and forth, trying to figure out who he was supposed to be and how to confront his brother, how to confront these humans and God and all of the stuff that is so hard and challenging. When we build something, you don't always measure twice and cut once. Sometimes you measure and cut and toss and reframe and take a step back and hit your thumb and curse mildly. And physically changing how we move through the world. And the last stanza, that last piece of it. What is it it's peace that we want? What did Pharaoh do? We gather our friends to the ends of the earth and lend a hand in the hour of birth. We'll do all of these different things. We'll plow and we'll sow. We'll hammer and we'll nail. We'll gather our friends to work together till peace is real. There is something incredible in these two ideas sharing the word, a dream. That there is something powerful that happens to us at night that we have to hold on to, we have to make the most of it. And then there's something in learning what those night dreams do for us and what they do to us that we can take and we can apply to these incredible dreams of vision, applying them, taking them, making the most of them, so that we have a chance with all of those dreams, whether it's our own personal wrestlings of our heart and that time of rest and renewal at night, to looking at the type of image of peace and rest and shalom and wholeness and harmony in the world, and taking the skills of one, applying them to the other, and finding ways to bring that type of peace to ourselves and to our world. Amen. And thank you for joining me on this Sunday morning. And there's a reason I'm not the cantor. I hope your dreams at night and your dreams of vision of the future find a way to connect, that one strength leads to another strength, that one piece of insight leads to another, and that together, as a community, as our two communities together in a community, a wider community of Vero Beach, that we find ways of really bringing that sense of shalom, of wholeness, harmony, and peace to our world. Amen. I started off the service with the words of Eloheinu Shema, that when I wake in the morning, that I ask God to return that little piece of my spirit that God took, cleaned and refreshed and renewed. What's incredible to me is we also, in Jewish life, in Jewish text, we say a prayer for before God takes that piece of our spirit. It's a text called Hashkivenu, that God take that piece, but I hope that in the morning I rise up to life renewed. The words are very simple. Grant that we may lie down in peace, eternal God, and raise us up, O sovereign, O protector, to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your good counsel, and for your name's sake be our help. Shield us from hatred and plague. Keep us from war and famine and anguish. Subdue our inclination to evil. O God, our guardian and helper, our gracious and merciful sovereign, give us refuge in the shadow of your wings. O guard our coming and our going, that now and always we have life and peace. I close our service with those words because that's the important part of all of this. It would be easy to dismiss our dreams, what happens to us at night, as simply what happens to us at night. It would be easy to take these dreams, the dream of a better world, the dream of a place where everybody lives protected and freed and cared for, and just dismiss them as words. But as I share these stories of dreams at night and what they have to teach us and remind us of how to live to our highest selves, it's my hope, as you hear these words of Hashkivenu, what's so striking to me is it's not, I hope I sleep well tonight. It's give me the ruach and koach, the spirit and the energy to take what happens to me at night and transform it into action. To going out and having what's refreshed and renewed within me, what's inspired, what grows and what is challenged within me, what it means gathering together with my community when I sleep and when I wake, to go out and build that world, the world of the dreamer, the world Martin Luther King envisioned, the world that so many of our traditions see, that type of world. May we turn our dreams, whether at night or dreams of the future, may we make those into the world that we hope to see. Amen. And thank you for this beautiful Sunday morning.